Will the Cardinals start 2-0 for the first time since 2021?
And can the Panthers avoid yet another 0-2 start?
It's Crossover Thursday, man. Let's get it.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thursday, week 2, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, Julian Council, Locked On Panthers. Thank you for making Crossover Thursday your first listen every day, or if this is your first listen to Locked On Cardinals, Locked On Panthers, Crossover Thursday, whatever it is. Thank you. It's going to be a really fun show. There's a couple teams here that have question marks still, and the season's early. Everybody needs to chill the hell out. Nobody needs to freak out yet. And Julie and I will be here to explain just why. Today's episode of Crossover Thursday is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We're going to hit keys to victory for both teams in the final segment. We're going to discuss the most important matchups in the second, but the biggest storylines reign supreme first. Julian, not the best showing from the Carolina Panthers week 1. Okay?
No.
Talk to me about what it's like going on in Carolina. Fans, players, most importantly, just give me a little insight into what the experience is there right now.
Yeah, well, the fan perspective, there's a lot of panic after what they saw in week 1. And like I talked about this with my audience saying it's just week 1, but it's also not just week 1 because the same issues that they had last year reared its ugly head once again on Sunday. Like Bryce Young turned the football over, getting nothing in the passing game, the inability to stop the run. 7 straight games, Alex, they have given up 200 plus yards on the ground. That goes all the way back to the meeting against the Cardinals back in December that they won in overtime. So that's why people are freaking out. I was just in the locker room on Wednesday afternoon. The players, they're cool. It's only one game. They know they're better than what they've showed. And they're also just talking about the process and sticking to that. So yeah, not much panic in the locker room, but there was certainly some shock from those guys as they did not expect what happened on Sunday in Jacksonville to happen.
Yeah. I saw that from afar. Okay. I'm a Travis Etienne fantasy football guy. I saw it from afar, what was going on in Jacksonville. And the only thing I can think of is, you're never excited to play the Panthers if you're the Cardinals because of the history, and you kind of throw things out the window. Week 1 is really the only game of the preseason. I always say the season starts in week 2, and when people were freaking out with the Cardinals when they only won by a touchdown against the Spencer Rattler-led Saints team last week, they looked clunky at times. They looked, just not on the same page at times. I'm like, yeah, they haven't played for a month. Like, everybody chill out. This is kind of the real barometer check week 2. Luckily, the Cardinals play at home. The biggest storyline for me going into the game is, can the Cardinals make it 8? Can the Cardinals just take advantage of their strength, which seems to be the Carolina Panthers' weakness going into week 2 with the 3-headed monster now, James Conner, Trey Benson, who had a career game last week, and Kyler Murray, who seems to now start to run the ball again with this new evolved offense that Drew Petzing's calling. That's the biggest storyline for me is, can the Cardinals do what they're supposed to be able to do in a time where they absolutely need to do it to move to 2-0?
Yeah, and the good thing for Arizona is that they won last week, and that's the thing. Like when you lose and you have the issues that Carolina had and that Arizona had last week, then like you start to press the panic button. But when you win and you don't play to your best ability, it's like, okay, we didn't play great, but we can go back to the drawing board and correct that, and also know that we're 1-0. So like that's a positive when you look at the Cardinals' perspective of things. And like a lot of Panther fans are upset about Dave Canales not playing the starters a lot in the preseason. He played them 1 series a year ago. They got 4 series this year and did not play in the 3rd preseason game. So they believe that's why Carolina did not come out and play well week 1. I don't know if there's truly a correlation, because I know the Rams don't ever play in the preseason. They went out and won week 1 and did not look great either, but not a lot of teams did, other than Buffalo and also Baltimore offensively, might I add, not defensively. Like, did any team really look like they were clicking on all cylinders? I guess the Jets' offense looked pretty good, Pittsburgh's offense, but there's questions about those defense. So, yeah, we'll see, man. But, like, yeah, some of the run's going to be a big thing. We'll talk more about that from the Panther side of things for matchups. I just know for me, when looking at just the big storylines, it's like Bryce Young. Can he go out there and can he bounce back? Because we did not see the consistency that a lot of people were hoping to see carry over from last year to this season in week one. Success rate 33.3. That was only better than Russell Wilson and Cam Ward, who was making his first start in the NFL last week and has no help down there in Tennessee. He had a negative EPA per dropback. That was 29th in the league. He had also a negative EPA per pass attempt. That was 32nd in the league, only ahead of Russell Wilson. Apparently, they're counting what Zach Wilson did on Sunday as 33 quarterback. So, yeah, Bryce is going to be a big focus in this game on how he's able to potentially bounce back and carry that offense forward against, yes, a team that the Panthers have owned of late.
Yeah. Does that surprise you after how the last 6 weeks of last year went? Or was it like, so for me, so let me give you my thoughts and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. Which is probably what's going to happen. So usually when a team is out of playoff contention, you play like you're playing open gym. It's just like there's no stressors. There's nothing involved. And trust me, the Cardinals play really well when they're out of playoff contention. It's like Bryce Young kind of had a coming out party for the last handful of games. He was rated super highly. He had a bunch of rushing touchdowns against the Cardinals. They put up 36 points in overtime. We saw what people thought he was going to be then. And then you lay a stinker division, in a game that not a division game, in a game that, it was pretty close spread, and you've got Ted McMillan on, you've got Chuba Hubbard, you've got, Rico Dowdy, you've added some pieces. Like, was this a surprise to you, or was this just rust? And I'll answer for the Cardinals after.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in momentum carrying over from one season to the next. There's a lot of different guys who come in every year. You have a different team. Like Adam Thielen, who's a big part of that team last year, he got traded before the season. He played for Minnesota on Monday night. That is a big change. Jalen Coker, he is on IR right now, so he's still on the team. But this is Tedero McMillan was not out there last year for Bryce Young, and they had a nice connection on Sunday. Hunter Renfrow was not here last year. Things changed, so I don't really buy into momentum carrying over from another season. Was I surprised by the performance? It's hard to say that because I've seen this from Bryce before. And if he goes out and plays well against Arizona, will that surprise me? Not necessarily, because I've seen him play well before. The problem is you can't get the consistency. It's a positive that he can play well, but it's also negative that if he has a stinker like he had on Sunday, it's not really a surprise at all. So I'm very curious to see how he's able to bounce back and how he plays on Sunday. So I don't think it's not surprising to me. I don't know if you're completely off base, but we'll see how it plays out for sure.
Yeah. And when you're talking consistency, obviously Kyler Murray, that's the name of the game for him. Is he going to be consistent enough for the Cardinals to win enough games to make the playoffs? And if not, he may not be wearing number one for the Cardinals next season. For me, the biggest of all storylines, sure, running the ball, absolutely. But really, it comes down to the number 4 overall pick and Kyler Murray and how they can put it together. He had 5 for 71 with the touch last week. It was fine. I have been screaming from the mountaintops, Julian Council, Locked On Panthers.
Yeah.
12 targets for Trey, 12 targets for Marv. Throw the ball 25 times, throw the ball 24 to your 2 best players. When you had a little taste of this with Adam Thielen last year, it's when something works, just do it more. They're good. They'll get open. Do it more. Trim the fat, run the ball, win football games. And I think the consistency basis for Kyler Murray is going to be, that's his Achilles heel, and it has been since being drafted. So we'll see what side reigns supreme on, I said reign supreme twice, I think, on this show. That's a record. On Sunday afternoon. Is there anything else you want to add about storylines before we move on?
Yeah, just one last thing that everyone's monitoring here is Ike Ekwonu, the left tackle for the Panthers. He did not play last week, had an appendectomy a couple of weeks ago. It's been about 2.5 weeks now. He was limited at practice on Wednesday. Dave Canales did tell us on Monday that he expected Ike to be back out there. Now, they're in pads on Thursday, so that will be a better day to see how he's moving forward. So it does look like he's going to play on Sunday. If he doesn't, it'd be Yosh Nijman starting for him, and he was the lowest graded of the offensive linemen on Sunday. He gave up 6 of their 12 pressures. So not ideal if they had to call upon him yet again. Even though they only gave up 1 sack all game, not a ton of pressure, but he didn't really play that great. So Ike Ekwonu, that's the one thing I'm looking out for as far as just availability for Sunday.
And the Cardinals are available, baby. It's gonna be really fascinating. We're going to talk about the biggest matchups next. Julian Council, Locked On Panthers. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. We'll be right back. This episode of Crossover Thursday is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IHS top safety picks than anybody else as of this past month. Okay, so that's pretty current. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery, and you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode of Crossover Thursday is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Now, I don't know if I can speak for Julian here, but I used to ingest a different kind of liquid when I played golf when I was younger, in my early 20s. Now I just need boost. I need caffeine boost. And this is where the 5 Hour Energy Transfusion comes in, man. They taste so good, quick, easy shot, and you're off to the races. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun for even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the U.S. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. All right. Crossover Thursday, week 2. Jules, I don't know if you remember this, but I tell people early on, appreciate football. We're already 1 down.
Yeah.
We only got 17 weeks to go, man. This is Christmas every week. Do not take this for granted.
Well, that's the thing. Because and I get why Panther fan, any fan gets mad when their team loses, but I try to remind people, because it happens all the time where, especially here recently, where the team will get off to a terrible start. People will be like, I'm done with this. When's the draft? It's like, damn, y'all, you spend all off season wishing you had football, then it's here. And yeah, your team's not playing well, but we only get 17 guaranteed Sundays of this. And sometimes you have to play on Saturday. Sometimes you have to play on Monday, even on Thursday. God forbid you play on a Wednesday because of the holidays, but be happy. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to have perspective, but we only get so many of these days, and it's just week 1, now week 2. Let's all breathe and be happy. And of course, hope for the best.
Champagne problems, baby. Hug your family, watch football, enjoy football, and hope your team wins. I mean, that's it. So most important matchups for me, I alluded to it early. It's this Arizona Cardinals 3-headed rush attack against the Carolina Panthers front. And I guess defense altogether. And the reason why this is so much more potent and imperative this year as opposed to last year is Trey Benson is on schedule. An absolute demon from Florida State. 2 years ago, the Cardinals nabbed him at the top of the 3rd round with one of their 4 third-round picks. And this is how I describe it to my everydayers is it's like a solar eclipse. When you have an older running back and a younger running back, it's not RB1, RB2 switched yet, but the sun and the moon are approaching each other. They're not crossing, they're approaching. And this is the beginning of that. And at the end of this season, if Trey Benson does what we think he's going to be able to do, you could be looking at James Conner as the LeGarrette Blount role next season. They gave him an extension. He's much better on the Arizona Cardinals than elsewhere. But with Kyler Murray's infusion as well, this could be a 3-headed monster where the Cardinals may not need to throw a lot if the run game does what it's good at.
Yeah, start playing a triple option, maybe a little wishbone if you need to. That's the matchup I'm looking at as well. And I mean, I love Trey Benson back when he was at Florida State. And I look back at that team that got snubbed, like him. Keon Coleman was awesome on Sunday night. What Jared Verse and Braden Fisk did last year. Damn, can't believe a team full of NFL players wasn't even given the opportunity, but we'll move on to this game. But Turk Wharton, he's out for this week, and that was a big free agent acquisition for Carolina coming over from Kansas City during the offseason. He's out 2 to 4 weeks of a hamstring, so that's going to be a point of contention as far as looking at the run defense. It's going to be a guy like Cam Jackson, the 5th rounder from Florida, having to step up. Same thing with Jaden Crumedy, a 6th round pick from Mississippi State a year ago, who didn't make the team initially. I think maybe he initially made the roster, then he was cut, but then he's been signed back from the practice squad to the active roster last Saturday. So those two young guys are going to have to step up and help out Derek Brown, who is a monster and is now back healthy and play pretty well on Sunday. But overall, like, the unit has to be so much better. It's not just the defensive line. And like, I had people asking, it's like, why couldn't this team be able to stop the run with these new guys who came in? It's like, well, it's not just Derek Brown and Bobby Brown III and Turk Wharton and Ashawn Robinson. It's also the guys behind them. Like, the linebacker play has to be better. And Trevin Wallace, the second-year player out of Kentucky, had a rough day. Christian Roseboom overall was fine, but you have to have guys in the secondary also make tackles. And Nick Scott has been someone who a lot of fans have questioned, why is he still starting at safety? The Panthers gave up a 71-yard rush on Sunday. That was a big turning point in that game. And Scott had an opportunity to make that a 12-yard gain. Instead, he whiffs on the tackle. It goes 59 more yards, and you can't have situations like that. So it's not just the defensive front. It's also the guys at linebacker, on the edge, in the secondary, stepping up and filling those gaps and doing their jobs as well. Like, I was talking to Christian Roseboom in the locker room today, the Panthers linebacker, and he was talking about they felt like the process was right, that they were in position. They just did not make the play. So if the process is right, that's a good step, but finish it off by actually making the play. So we'll see if they can do that, as, again, it's been 7 straight games where they have not been able to hold opponents below 200 yards rushing. And that includes last December when they gave up 206 against Arizona. And I will say, once James Conner went down with that, I think, knee injury in the second half, Arizona couldn't really run the ball. But hearing about Trey Benson and, of course, Kyler Murray's still there, that does concern me if Carolina can't get their act together and actually finish out plays on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, what else for you? What's a matchup you're looking at?
Yeah. The Panthers linebackers, as far as just in the pass game versus Trey McBride. I looked at last week. The Jags linebacker, or tight ends rather, had some success. Brenton Strange and Hunter Long combined for 5 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown. And there's one of them, I think it was the first touchdown in the game, where it looked like both Christian Roseboom and Trevin Wallace didn't really know what was going on there, where the linebacker, or the tight end rather, went behind them and scored a touchdown. So not sure whose assignment that was, but it was at least at their level. And I look back at the games that Christian played last year when he was in LA against Arizona. He did not grade out well. Had a 53.3 and then a 43.3 grade as far as against the Cardinals. And I'm guessing going up against Trey McBride, who didn't do much against Carolina in this game a year ago, only 3 receptions, 20 yards on 4 targets. So I'm very curious to see how these guys are able to bounce back this week, as their coverage grades, looking at PFF, Wallace had a 38.3 last week, Roseboom with 53.3. I'm sure the Arizona offensively is going to be hunting for this matchup to get McBride, who was a kind of a revelation for y'all offensively last year, to have an opportunity to have a breakout day after having a strong week 1. So that's one I'm definitely looking at as well.
Yeah, and then, for me, it's Marv and Kyler, as I talk about the biggest storylines. It's not even like the matchups this week. Is Marv going to pop? That's just going to be a storyline for the first 6 weeks until it happens or it doesn't. And they've got a lighter start to the schedule. Obviously, any given Sunday, every team is made up of human being adult males who are bigger than 99.9% of other human beings. So anybody could win any game anytime. Like, this is not like, the Cardinals are going to win by 4 touchdowns. I'm never going to say that. I think it's a fool's errand. With that said, the Cardinals do have some leverage points, and Trey McBride is one of them. Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray have figured out one thing above all else: scheming Trey McBride open. He's always open. He's Devontae Adams in Green Bay, always open. And that's why he had so many targets, so many receptions last year, and it's going to be an integral part. But the most important matchup for me on the other side is this new front 7. Can it get home? Baron Browning 1 sack last week against Spencer Rattler and the Saints. Can they get home? Josh Sweat was in the backfield a lot. Jordan Birch, a 3rd-round pick out of Oregon, was in the backfield a lot. Can they get home? Can Nick Rallis scheme up some exotic blitz packages to get Bryce Young frazzled? And I know that one of his best qualities, at least from where I see, is his ability to be fluid outside of the pocket. What he does after that is, I guess, to be determined, but the dude knows his size like Kyler. He knows when to take his run opportunities, but if you can flush him and get him on the run and allow this young DB core to try and replicate what they did last week, it could be a long day for Carolina.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, one of the things that he does thrive at doing a lot of times, Bryce, is playing out like the off-platform kind of stuff and out of structure, where he's able to make some plays, and had some guys not make plays for him last week. Xavier Legette had an inexcusable one where he just did not get his feet down in bounds, and it was very easy. Could have done that. JT Sanders had a drop. Now, I thought that was a pretty tough catch to make anyways, but it gets categorized as a drop. But Bryce was able to make some pretty big plays with his legs, had 5 rushes, or really 5 scrambles for 40 yards. So he's somebody, if Arizona's not able to stay disciplined in their rush lanes, he's somebody who can get out on the outside and go out there, pick 8, 10, maybe even 20 yards if available. And he did that plenty last year, has done that pretty consistently in his career. So we'll see how they're able to do it, especially with Josh Sweat. Like, he was obviously great in that Super Bowl for Philadelphia back in February, and him coming over and teaming back up with Jonathan Gannon made a ton of sense for Arizona in the offseason. If Ike Ekwonu does not play in this game, and even if he does, because it will be his first game of the season, and he has been susceptible at times of getting beat, much like any tackle in the league, that could be a matchup that Arizona maybe potentially wins, and that's another one to look at in this game. So, yeah, keeping Bryce upright, very important for Carolina. Getting them frazzled, obviously very important for Arizona from their perspective.
In my 9 seasons, this is my 9th season hosting this show, I've never actually felt real confidence in this team until this year. Truly. Like, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not knocking anything, anybody. I have a moratorium on my channel. I cannot mention the name of the past general manager before Monty Osborne ever again. So, I've never felt more confident, and I don't know why it feels weird, but we're going to talk about keys to victory next. Julian Council locked on Panthers. I was Clancy locked on Cardinals crossover Thursday. This episode of Crossover Thursday is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL season is here, man. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for the kickoff with a can't-miss offer. I need you to listen to this. New customers right now can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. New customers bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. That's a lot of cheese, man. So, like, say you want to take a future out on Ted McMillan winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Say you want to take a future out on Kyler Murray winning MVP, or Jonathan Gannon winning Coach of the Year, or you want to do a little single-game parlay with just the Panthers and the Cardinals on Sunday and just hammer the overs of all the Cardinals rush numbers. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that from this conversation, that is, hypothetically what one could do. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Keys to victory. Julian Council. We've kind of alluded to it throughout the show. Dude, I could do an hour with you. Like this, it's sometimes like people are like, how do you talk for 30 minutes every day? It's like, I black out and I feel like it's done in 2 minutes. Like these things go by so fast.
Especially in season.
Especially in season is right. That's maybe what it is. It's like we've been grinding our tires so much this offseason with content that now when there actual is new stuff to do, it's even easier. What's one of your keys to victory going into Sunday visiting State Farm Stadium in the Arizona Cardinals?
My key really is like the desperation, man. Like you got to be desperate. I think a lot of times, like, I don't know if you ever watch hockey. Like, I'm not a big hockey guy, quite honestly, but I did cover the Stanley Cup playoffs a couple of times back when I was in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And those guys would always talk about during the playoffs, just like desperation. Like the desperate team is a team that goes out there and wins that period or wins that game, carrying over series to series. And I look at Carolina, like in the position that they're in right now, like they need to show desperation. I know those guys talk about, okay, it's week 1, we'll process all of that. History shows that if you start off 0-2, you don't dig your way out of a hole. And for Carolina, especially, like if you're going to be a team that a lot of people were hoping could take another step this season, I never had playoff expectations for them, but could you get to 7-8 wins? If you're going to get there, like last week was one of those games that you needed. And then this week certainly is a game that you need. You can't just start off 0-2, and I know it's on the road, so those games are technically not the games you're supposed to win. You're going to be an underdog like they are again this week, looking over at FanDuel, but I think that they need to be a desperate team and that they need to bring a different attitude than we have seen. And in recent years, like when they have played Arizona, like you had the Cam Newton game where everything felt completely different. Looking at last year, there's a lot of hope in what that team could be. And they were coming off of a really disappointing performance against Dallas, and they came back and bounced back and played an Arizona team that needed to win that game to stay alive for the division title out there in the NFC West. So that's the Carolina team I want to see on Sunday. The same team that came out with some desperation, even if it didn't matter to them late last season, whether they won games or not. They were just playing to their standard. So like, that's the key to me, is having like that desperate intention and mentality in this game, where if you lose, like, it's tough. Because I'm looking at the stat. Since the playoffs expanded in 2020, 41 franchises have started the season off 0-2. Only 5 have made the playoffs.
That's crazy.
Cincinnati in 2022. I don't see Joe Burrow here.
Nope.
Houston in 2023. I know a lot of people would say that CJ Stroud is quarterback, but he's not here. Then you have the Rams, Denver, and Baltimore last year. No Lamar Jackson, no Matthew Stafford, and Sean McVay, and no Sean Payton. Like, not to say that Bryce can't get there one day and that Dave Canales can't be a great head coach, but if you get in a hole again, it's not like the season's completely over, but it's going to be very hard for them to reach that benchmark that a lot of fans want to see them reach for the first time since 2017. Like, it's been a minute, man.
And that's the analysis you get on the Locked On Podcast Network. No Sean McVay in Carolina, #analysis. No, that's true. I mean, it brings up a good point, dude. I mean, it's like, when you say desperation, I was going to use a different term. I'm going to use desperation too. And it's not for the same reason, naturally. It's because if the Cardinals lose this game after playing iffily, if I can say that, that's not a word, but if I can say that from last week,
we'll go with it.
Yeah. If they lose this game after only putting up 20 points against New Orleans, the questions will be even harsher than if they would have lost last week. It's the crazy. Like, the Cardinals have no business losing this game. Okay. They're ready. The defense is ready. They hammered the entire offseason on the defensive side of the ball. Will Johnson looks elite. Looks like the steal of the draft through 1 week, even though it's super early. Budda Baker, Dadrian Taylor Demerson playing the 3 safety sets with Jalen Thompson. Like, the key to victory is just go. Play football and win. Like, this is not a year with excuses, with reasons, with any sort of thesaurus, anything for reason or excuse. Go. Kyler Murray, go. Kill. Like, if you have a killer instinct, you're going to see it on Sunday. If you tell me the Cardinals win 30-3, I'd be like, for the first time in forever, be like, oh, I could actually rationally explain how they got there.
Wow.
But if they win 10-6, I couldn't figure it out. If they lose, I couldn't figure it out. And that's not me being too close. That's not me not giving Carolina a shot. The Cardinals have concretely and factually done things to strengthen their floor and raise their floor talent-wise. They just got to go beat a team they're supposed to beat.
And, I mean, you could argue, I guess looking at it, 7 out of the last 8 have been won by Carolina, including back in December, the 36-30 OT win, where, I mean, Carolina really was on the ropes, and they were able to come back in that game and get it done. Like, you go back through the recent matchups, 2015, that was the first of these 7 out of 8. Like, everyone expected Carolina to go out there and do what they did. I don't know if anyone expected them to blow Arizona out the water like they did on that Sunday afternoon in Charlotte on the way to the Super Bowl, but that happened. But there's other games, like when Kyle Allen came in and had to be the starter after Cam Newton got hurt and was actually done for the rest of the season. Like, he went out and had like a 3-touchdown day. And then last year, the vibes they were better, but it wasn't like they were great after what happened, losing to Cooper Rush in Dallas, who sacked Bryce Young, I think, 5 or 6 times that game, but they came out and they were able to win that game. It seems like and then the Cam game, the vibes were good because Cam was back, but he wasn't the starting quarterback that day. It was PJ Walker. So it seems like every time when Carolina's kind of down and out and there's real questions about where they're headed, Arizona is that nice elixir to get them a W and to be right back to feeling good about themselves. And hey, maybe this franchise can do something this season and beyond. And I think that's a possibility on Sunday. I expect them to play a lot better than they did last week, but to me, I told everybody who listens to the show and watches it, I got to see it, man. I got to see it with this team. I see plenty of reasons why they should be improved, but I need to see it. And looking back at Sunday against Jacksonville, and that's a big reason why I'm kind of in wait and see mode about what the Carolina Panthers are going to be this year.
Wasn't it 2019 with Teddy Bridgewater? Was it Teddy
19 was Kyle Allen. It would have been 2020 with Bridgewater.
Maybe that's what it was.
It was the home.
I think they played Bridgewater. They played Carolina on the road that year without Budda Baker and lost, and Teddy Bridgewater had an all-pro day. I don't know what the hell it is. It's the Cardinals with Detroit It's the Cardinals when Detroit was bad, and it's the Cardinals with Carolina. I don't know what it is, and that's the great equalizer. We got history, man, and it's not good for the Cardinals by any stretch of the imagination, any deliverable, starting in 2015 and then up until last year where they knocked the Cardinals out of playoff contention anyways. Julian, this has been awesome. Tell people where they can find you if they want to watch more content before the game tomorrow.
Yeah, well, same place you can find you over on YouTube at Locked On Panthers, where I guess they find you on Locked On Cardinals, but over on YouTube and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you want to follow me on social, you can do that at Julian Council over on Twitter, X, if you want to call it that, and over on Blue Sky as well. So always appreciate visiting fans at checking out whatever, or I guess other fan bases checking out the podcast. So yeah, fun times, and we'll see how Sunday goes. Always, it's nice. We have this every single year, it feels like. I don't know how it is. Like, I know they're both in the NFC, but how is it that Arizona and Carolina always play every season? Probably because they always finish like last or third, and they have no choice but to play each other every season. Like, it is inevitable that Carolina and Arizona are going to meet up again next season. So see you next year.
Hell yeah, man. And for me, at Clancy's Corner on Twitter. Yeah, we'll talk to you on our respective podcast tomorrow. Locked On Crossover Thursday.